We live on a planet called Earth. The Earth travels around the Sun. It goes around it in a big circle that we call its orbit. A year is how long it takes the Earth to do a complete orbit of the Sun. The Sun is the star which is at the centre of our solar system. It's where we get heat and light from. The Earth isn't just moving around the Sun though. It's also constantly spinning around, like you can see in this video, and it takes the Earth 24 hours a day to spin around once. So the Earth is spinning around. That means that sometimes we're facing towards the Sun, sometimes away from the Sun. When we're facing towards the Sun, it's daytime, it's lighter and it's warmer. And when we're facing away from the Sun, it's nighttime, it's darker, and it's usually colder too. So why then do we have different seasons? Why is it warmer during some parts of the year and colder during other parts of the year? If you've got a globe, or ever seen a globe, you might have noticed something slightly odd about them, which is that on a globe the Earth looks a bit wonky. It tilts to one side. And that's not a mistake, there's a reason for that. The Earth tilts on what we call its axis. That's the imaginary line that runs through it from the North Pole to the South Pole. The top half of the world, which is where we are, is called the Northern Hemisphere. And the bottom half of the world, which is where Australia and other countries are, is called the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how this affects the seasons, and I'm going to use some props. So first of all, I was looking around the house for something spherical, a sphere that could represent the Earth, and the best I could do is this origami sprout left over as a Christmas decoration. So this little sprout here is the Earth, and then this lamp here is the Sun. Okay, so we've got the Earth and we've got the Sun. So here's the Sun and here's the Earth. Now if the Earth rotated just straight like that, we wouldn't have any seasons, okay? It would just be night and day, but every day would pretty much be the same, okay? But the Earth is on its axis. It tilts a bit like that, okay? So that means sometimes the Southern Hemisphere is getting more of the sunlight than the Northern Hemisphere when it spins around, okay? So can you see, even while it's spinning, the Southern Hemisphere gets more of the light. During that time, it's spring or summer down in the Southern Hemisphere and autumn or winter in the Northern Hemisphere, okay? And that's what it's like for 6 months of the year. And then the other 6 months, it'll be the other way around, okay? So the Northern Hemisphere, it's the top of Sprout's head here, that's going to be getting more sunlight, okay, than the Southern Hemisphere, which means days are going to be longer and it's going to be warmer. So in that case, it will be spring or summer in the Northern Hemisphere and autumn or winter in the Southern Hemisphere, okay? So it's the fact that the Earth tilts on its axis that gives us the seasons, all right? When the Northern Hemisphere is getting more light, then it's spring or summer. And when it's getting less light, okay, then it's autumn or winter. I did have to use a sprout to explain that, but I hope that made some kind of sense.
So to summarise then, the Earth orbits the Sun. But while it's orbiting the Sun, it's also spinning around on its axis. And the Earth tilts on its axis. And what that means is that for half the year, the Northern Hemisphere is getting more light and rays from the Sun. And for the other half of the year, the Southern Hemisphere is getting more light and rays from the Sun. What that also means is that while it's spring or summer here, it's autumn or winter in the Southern Hemisphere. So in somewhere like Australia, it will be winter while it's summer here. In fact, at Christmas time, we associate Christmas with it being cold and it being in the middle of winter. But in Australia, it's the summertime. They often celebrate Christmas at the beach or with a barbecue. Alright, so that's why we have seasons.